Page 32, Sloop John B. With this lesson, they're introducing you to a phrase. I already talked about phrases in an earlier lesson. Oops, got ahead of myself. So let's officially talk phrases. In music, a phrase is simply a musical sentence or a musical thought. Think of an English language, any language. We talk in sentences. We talk in thoughts. This is a sentence. This is another sentence. And there's usually a little silence between the sentences. These sentences are kind of grouped together, so you can tell they're sentences. Some sentences are really short, and some sentences are really super duper long. Same thing in music. They're just musical thoughts. Generally, you can hear it. It just makes sense. It sounds like a musical thought. For instance, here, we haven't learned the piece yet. And I really get into that later on in the articulation after I know the notes and rhythms. But just to get you on a phrase, so what's going on here? Pick up to measure 5, the melody, just the melody. That was, believe it or not, 3 different phrases, 3 different sentences. This is a sentence. Then we did the sentence again. And then measure 9 was another sentence. A longer sentence, but it was a musical thought. And that's what we're after. You learn to think about the sentences. That's part of articulation, and I'll get into that more when we get to the articulation portion of this lesson. And phrases can be marked by that long curved line. It's another thing that long curved line is used for. We had it for slurs, we've had it for ties, it's also used for phrases. Isn't this fun? So how do you know which is which? Well, you don't. You have to kind of figure it out. If it sounds like a musical thought, it's a phrase. If it doesn't, it's a slur. If it has curve. Not all phrases are marked with a slur. Some phrases are not marked at all. You have to figure them out. Like that Brahms lullaby we did earlier, phrases weren't marked there. I talked about phrases, but if you listen to the music, you can hear the musical thoughts, and you can figure out what the phrases are. So let's go through the process of learning a piece of music that I use. I look it over, I see it's 2 pages long. The clef signs are treble and bass clef. 1 flat in the key signature. We are in the key of F major. That's what we're studying. So make sure you do the F major scale. And while you're there, go ahead and do the D minor scale, because it also has 1 flat. Just well do them both. I got the videos on it. Okay. 4/4 time signature, and I see a whole bunch of 1/8 notes going crazy, and then some quarter notes and half notes and whole notes. This rhythm, we got to deal with this rhythm. Right hand first. Thumb is here. I don't need any other of these finger numbers because I'm in this position then. And the B flat is part of the position because it's in the key signature. If there were no B flat in the key signature, then the position would be that. But when they put the B flat in the key signature, it becomes part of the position. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And this throws people. Some people, I don't understand this rhythm. We have the 2 1/8 notes tied together. Temporarily take out the tie and just play all the 1/8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. See, that simplifies it a little, I hope. And once you can do that okay, you put the tie in. You just hang on to that A rather than playing it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That rhythm is all over the place. Look at measure 5. 1 and 2. You're thinking, what? Well, it's like the quarter notes worth 2 1/8 notes tied together. So they could have used a quarter note up above. Instead of those 2 1/8 notes, they could have put in a quarter note. It's the same difference as far as counting goes. So you can just pretend it's 2 1/8 notes tied together. 1 and 2 and 3, and that's tied all the way to the end of the measure. Okay, you get to measure, what, 11, you're here, and then measure 12, you got 1, rest, 1 beat rest to come down here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. And then going on, you got 1 beat rest to come up here. Then we got an F and a B flat together on measure 15 here, and that's tied for 7 counts in that fun. And then you go on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and measure 18. It's a 2 and then a 3. Actually, you had a beat rest. You could have come down and done both of those G's with 3. Just different ways of fingering it. I would encourage you to go ahead and use the fingering in the book because I like using different fingers on repeated notes, and that's what we're doing here. Not everybody does though, but I do. I encourage it. Comes in handy in a lot of places. Now at the end, that last measure, that ugly looking thing, the whole note, well, figure it out. Spell out the chord. You start with the bottom note, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and you figure out one note at a time until you got it. So it's a G, an A, and a C. Those 3 notes. Yes, it's supposed to sound like that. Okay. So once you have an idea what the right hand is doing, then we do the same with the left. Left hand is here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Oh, this is fun. Let's go down to measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, when I get this kind of a pattern where I'm going back and forth, if you look at the next few measures, that's what we're doing. In the thumb, the bottom note's the same. The thumb doesn't have to do all that. So I adjust it. So I'm using 2 on the C, and I'm doing here. So it's here. I'm using this pattern. That comes in handy in a lot of places too. So I'm recommending for measure 5, you do a 5, 2 for the dotted half note. And all of them here. When I have a D coming up, I'm saving the thumb for that. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Measure 9, we're still there, and the measure 10 is third finger. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Don't forget the B flat. It's in the key signature, so it's part of the hand position. 1 and 2 and rest, and during the rest you come down. 1 and. Thumb comes up here. And measure 15 during the rest, you come back up here. 1, 2, 3. Then here's a 1, 5. It's okay. And then measure 18 is here. And if you want to, for that whole note, measure 17, you could use a 4, 1, and save the little finger for the next note. But you can use 5 on both if you'd rather. I'll leave that up to you. Put the hands together. Now, when I first put the hands together, I'm probably going to hesitate. That's okay. I don't care. I want to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Hopefully this rhythm isn't too bad for you. You remember, if you're confused, take out the tie and just play all the 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3. That's all it is. And then you put in the tie, you hang on to it. But in measure 5, it's here. 1 and 2. Now here and here. And 2 and 3. And 4 and 1 and 2 and 1. Now measure 12. Look out. This is a half note. Hold it down as you play the first C and lift it up on the second. Here. 1 and 2 and 1. Then I'll measure 14. As I play the whole note, the right hand comes up. Here. So make sure you're holding these notes down and lifting them up exactly where the music tells you to. So once I put the hands together, then I go back over it slowly and carefully, and this is what takes time, and get rid of the hesitations. And most of this, it'd be nice if you could play it without looking at the keyboard. Even though you're moving around, You may have to look down for that, but eventually you'd even want to get to where you can make these movements without looking, because you can feel that little distance. You sort of develop a feel for the keyboard eventually. Maybe not in this lesson or the next, but someday. Now, once I have all that, then I'll think about the articulation, and this is the phrasing. Now, let's be careful here. A slur is marked with a curved line, and so is a phrase. What's the difference? Well, you need to know, is it a slur, or is it a phrase, or is it both? Kind of hard to tell when it's both. A slur means you connect the notes within the slur, but you don't necessarily lift up before and after a slur. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Whatever the music needs. A phrase means you're going to lift up before and after the phrase for the musical thought, but you may not connect the notes within the phrase all the time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. If you're in doubt, go ahead and connect them. So you can treat the phrase as a slur, except you're going to lift up before and after it. So pick up to measure 5. These are the phrases. Lift up. We have to lift up. It's a repeated note. And sometimes you have to lift up because you have a rest, and that's kind of built in. Otherwise, this is pretty connected all the way through. Even at the beginning, the first line, there's nothing marked. Well, in theory, you can do anything you want. I could play them all disconnected if I wanted to. But that's out of character for this piece, so you would connect them. So once I do the articulation, then I think about the dynamics. MP at the beginning is mezzo piano, or sort of soft, and there's no melody here, it's all of it. Whatever you think sort of soft is, and then you're going to go up to sort of loud and back down. And then pick up to measure 5 is MF, mezzo forte, sort of loud, that's the melody here. So this is sort of loud and soft. And it's only the first C that gets a pickup. That's interesting. Pick up to measure 4, that's melody. Pick up to measure 7, that's not melody. See, so it's a difference on how loud you play it. Pick up to measure 4, you play it louder. And pick up to measure 7, you don't. So it's clear what's melody and what isn't. Measure 14, you're going to go up here. Now we're loud. This left hand is still in the background. So in measure 18 or 15 to 16, when I do this, I want to hear that. Don't drown it out. And I stay loud until measure 18. Then toward the end of measure 18, I go back down a little bit to measure, or sort of loud, I guess. No, sort of soft. It gives you. See, they don't always give you the dynamic when you go up and down. Here they are. Go down to moderately soft there for measure 19. So I start measure 18 loud in the right hand, loud, and then softer, back down, moderately soft. This means this is very soft. Now, when I get to measure 20, you can treat that as sort of soft. It needs to be clear to the listener what's melody and what isn't. At measure 18, that's melody, but going on, this is not. So it should be softer. Don't play it the same. So starting at measure 18, you're loud. Measure 21, come up a little bit. And then here, except you'll notice an 8VA above the staff at the end. So those notes now are up here, and it's only the right hand. The left hand doesn't move. You slow down, soft, soft. There's no melody here. It's all about the same. I think it would have been better if both hands could have gone up myself, starting at measure 21. up here. I would have liked both hands to go up, but the music is not written that way. So we will leave the left hand where it is. If they wanted both hands to go up, they would have to indicate it as such, but they didn't, so okay. And then the speed, moderately bright rock, whatever. Think about the melody. How fast do you want that to go? However fast you want that to go, that's going to be your moderately bright rock, as long as you can play it accurately. Now they've added pedal on some of this. You don't need pedal on it. You do it just fine without, and I'm hoping you certainly learn it without pedal. So when you add pedal, you can understand what's happening. So first, we'll try it the way it's written and see what it sounds like. Do we like it? If so, we'll keep it. If not, we'll adjust it. I'm going to push the note down first and then the pedal, but it's got to be pretty quick here because these notes go by quickly. If I wait too long with the pedal, I'll miss the first note. See, I gotta have it down before I release it. And then as I play the measure 5 here, I release it. I don't pedal again till the end, the last, measure 20 or so. Just hold it down to the end. If that sounds okay to you, go with it. I don't really know what kind of a sound he's after. I like a cleaner sound. I don't like this. To me, that is just yuck. So if I pedal it at all, you don't have to pedal it. If I'm going to pedal it, then I want to get rid of the yuck. And I don't know of a way really to get rid of the yuck without yucking it. You could try the first 4 notes, because all that's a chord. You could pedal those and then lift up. It's a different effect. You have to decide what you like. And then, of course, pedal the dotted half note. One of the reasons we pedal is to give the longer held notes color, overtones. So we would pedal that note. But then I would lift up so I hear the phrasing. Like taking a breath. Here. But I have to pedal the pickup beat. Because I want to connect it. I want to connect that. It's melody. I can't connect it because I've got to play the C again for measure 5. I can't, so I need the pedal, and that's the. Otherwise, I would not pedal the pickup beat to measure 5. So but I don't want that silence, so I have to pedal it. So I'm just pedaling long enough to connect the notes, and then I'm lifting up. And I don't like the sound of measure 6 at all. Really? No, in that case, I would only pedal the first beat. I just don't want all that. So I'd probably either only the first beat, or don't pedal until you play the second A. So I hold off, so I don't want the G. I could pedal both A's. I could pedal it that way. You experiment with the pedal and see what you like and what you don't like. At the end, I would pedal the end similar to the way I pedaled at the beginning, however that was. Now when you slow down and the notes start lasting longer, you might want to pedal them to give them color at the last 2 measures. Pedal that A, and then leave it down to the end. Everything comes up together, and that's sort of how you could pedal it. They're all suggestions. You have to decide. Your teacher can help you decide on an effective way to pedal this. Or don't pedal it. You don't need to pedal, really. Now, please don't copy me. If I had a few more cups of coffee or a glass of wine, I'm sure I would play this differently, and that would be just fine. There's different ways of interpreting it. You have to find what works for you. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the louds and softs, and I'm not going to do the pedaling because you can hear it better without the pedaling. We're after notes and rhythms. That's all this is for. We're going to go really, really slow. I'll give us 4 counts. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 1 and 3 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and